More cards revealed, more cards to review. First one, Bridge Troll. Monster. 9 strength. Bronze. Move a hazard on enemy road to a different road. This is a really interesting thing because if you've ever played Weather, your enemies will try and stack 1 or 2 rows. And then that hazard effectively becomes useless. Yeah, sure, you can maybe pull a drowner target into it or whatever, but it's usually not all that effective. You run out of targets. But being able to move the entire hazard is like incredible. I don't even know how this would work. Would you pick the hazard first and then move it? Would you just pick a row and it would move a random hazard to it? Either way, I think this is a really, really incredible card for all weather decks everywhere. This is like you would play at least 2 of these, I think, in a heavy weather deck. You'd probably even run these in some kind of gold weather deck, although I don't believe that's particularly a monster specialty. They just run their own weather. But this is a really cool card. I like Bridgestone. It's a great card. And like the strength level on it's really nice too. So even if you don't have any hazards to move, it's still a 9 strength bronze card, which isn't that terrible. Cadwini Knight, bronze 8, strength Northern Realms. Boost this unit by 5 if played from the deck. 2 armor. Now that is really cool. This is another really cool card that incentivizes very creative deck building, so that the only way you actually get Cadwini Knight is if you somehow pull it from your deck through like reinforcements, through Reaver Scouts, through any kind of Prince Stennis. There's a lot of options for you to pull this out of your deck, and it gains 5. It becomes a 13 strength bronze, which is pretty good, and it even comes with a little bit of armor, and it has the soldier tag. Very important. This is a really cool card. And again, just like just like Bridge Troll, even if you don't manage to pull it from the deck, it's still an 8 strength 2 armor, which is pretty on par with the cards already existing, and soldier. So Nilfgaard, not Nilfgaard. The other one, Skellige, warship, bronze, 7 strength. It's a Dinah machine. Deal 1 damage 4 times. This is the kind of card that's kind of weak on its own, but if you manage to play it in a deck that does a lot of damage, like with cards we've seen up in the other revealed cards, it can be pretty strong. But this is a card you really need to be able to see in practice to see if it matches, if it fulfills the niche that you need it to fulfill. Lamia, 5 strength, bronze monster unit. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If the enemy is under a blood moon, deal 7 damage instead. Again, you'd really have to see this in practice. I can't really tell how strong this actually is because I'm not really all that familiar with what blood moon is, and how easy it is to apply on a row, how easy it is to clear, and whether it's worth putting in deck at all. Because there's all, I was gonna say there's already a lot of cards that do that get value in monsters from those kind of effects, similar effects, but namely like Drowner pulling something into something. I don't know. I need to be able to see it, but this is a relatively nice like kind of disruption / control option. If monsters ever really need it, I've never really felt the need for it in monsters so far. If you ever really did, you would just use a Drowner, or you would use the Lock, or you would use a Owl's Thunder. And even Owl's Thunder didn't get played very much. Cadwini Revenant. Whenever you play a spell, spawn a copy of this unit on a random row. Do not repeat. I wonder if I imagine that's only applicable to the 1 unit. So that means if you have 2 of these Cadwini Revenants and you play a spell, both of them get their copies, right? I don't like this. I think it seems too weak. Like even getting it out onto the field just to spawn a copy of it. Like does Northern Realms even use like swarming tactics all that much? I think if there was a swarming deck, this is where it would be in, but I don't even think that's much of a thing. This would have to be in some kind of deck that you're using a lot of potions with or something. But otherwise, I don't really care for it. Clan Corsair. Resurrect a bronze machine. So it's some more resurrects. It's a little bit stronger Priestess of Freya, but with the caveat that it has to be a bronze machine. If you can guarantee that you will always have a bronze machine in your graveyard to pull from, then it's just a straight up 2 strength bonus on Priestess of Freya. But is a bronze machine Skellige deck ever going to be a thing? I mean, not ever kind of thing. Of course, it might eventually, but in the coming future, I don't really see it just yet. I would have to see more machines. Play a random, and like usually when you're trying to revive in Skellige, you're either pulling a huge unit like a 11 strength bear, or you're trying to pull like an axeman out of your graveyard or something like that, like a combo piece out of your graveyard. And I'm not so sure machines are necessarily fulfilling that role. I'd rather just run the Priestess of Freya and allow myself to have a wide berth of targets to pick from. Recruit. Play a random different bronze soldier from your deck. 1 strength, Nilfgaard bronze. Play a random different bronze soldier from your deck. Play a random different bronze soldier from your deck. So that means you play this and then it just pulls a random bronze soldier from your deck. It doesn't actually have to pick one that's already on the field. I imagine that's what it means. It's interesting, but I really don't like this random. Like a lot of, unfortunately, this revealed set so far has had more randomness than usual. I'm not a big fan of that, but maybe you can craft your deck in such a way that no matter what soldier you pick is going to be strong, or maybe you only have like one set of soldiers that you're picking from, and then you guarantee what you're trying to look for. But otherwise, meh. Had to see it in practice, and whether or not you want to pull soldiers on a reliable basis, or if you want to pull them at all, rather. Crushing Trap, deal 6 damage. I think this could have been 3 strength, and it still would have been not that great. But being at 1 strength is really painful. Or maybe if it was a spy, if this was like a spy unit, that'd be pretty cool. But it's not. So, Crushing Trap, deal 6 damage to units at the end of an enemy row. This is just like that Hearthstone card. Didn't they already reveal a card like this way up at the top? Deal 6 damage to the units at the end of an enemy row. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is already a thing, right? Deal 6 damage to the units at the end of an enemy row. I think I've already reviewed this. I said it was crap because it's so easy to play around and the strength that you're getting is really low. I'm hesitant to want to check it, but I don't want to waste time. Elven Blade. Deal 10 damage to a non-elf unit. So it's like a better Alzur's Thunder, except it has to be on non-elf. I don't think that's that big of a deal. It only really comes to effect in a mirror matchup where you're playing elves versus elves, but how common does that happen? And also, not every unit they're going to play is being elf, so you're probably going to get the effect off. I think this card is really great, especially in Skeletal, because they have so much spell synergy. I like that card. I don't play a lot of Skeletal, but I could see this card being a pretty common pick, especially over Alzur's Thunder, which Alzur's Thunder is already a 2 to 3 of, as it is. Or is it a 2 to 3 of? I know it gets played twice, but it's not necessarily they put 2 of them in there. Flail, deal 5 damage to spawn a Draugr. It's a 5-0 unit, 5 strength nothing. Deal 5 damage to spawn a Draugr. So you're gonna deal 5 damage, which is below the 6 point threshold, which is where a lot of like combo-y cards kind of sit at. So you're doing just under that. And you're spawning a unit with 5 strength. It's hard to say how good this card is. I think if it was 6 strength, deal 6 damage, it even with like a 4 strength unit, that'd be way, way better because you'd hit those combo cards. But at 5 strength, that's just under the amount you really need. It's interesting, and maybe it finds some synergies, but I'm not seeing it so far. Doppler, transform into a random bronze unit from your faction. This is a bronze neutral special organic card. Transform into a random bronze unit from your faction. I imagine that means it's not from your deck, but from the entire faction as a whole, which makes it significantly worse. I think this card is really, really, really bad because it's not only random, but it's from your entire faction. That means you could get something that's completely and utterly useless. Not only is it not like potentially a low strength, but potentially you're not getting any like synergies off. You're not getting any of their battle cry effects off or whatever. You're not getting any of their. You're not taking advantage of their otherwise effects. Like active effects or death rattle effects or anything like that. I think this card is it's a cool design. I don't like the random effect, but it's a cool thing to include. But I think it's like garbage tier at a glance. You want a 6 power heal a bronze or silver unit and then boost it by the amount healed. Healer bronze or silver unit. And boosted. Okay, all right. So let's say you have like a 16 base strength. What's his face? Django Fret. Whatever his name is. And then he gets down to like 2 strength or something, right? And then you boost it you heal it by 12 and then gets another 12 boosts on top of that. Like best case scenario, you have a 24 strength play. That's pretty wild. And it has 6 strength base. Unfortunately, it's a boost and not a strengthen, or else it'd be absolutely broken. But I think this is really, really interesting. If you're playing like a self-damaging deck, even if you can just get like a 3 heal off and then you boost it by 3, you have 6 plus the 6 and there's a 12. Like a healing by 3 is not very good. That's like on the low end. But if you do that, you have a 12 strength silver, and that's not that bad. I think this card's pretty good. It's hard to say just how much space is in that silver slot for Skellige, but I could see it being a thing. And especially in a meta where there's like lots of weather and damaging effects going off, I could see that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Vrygef? Silver unit, 5 strength, Nilfgaard. Play a bronze machine from your deck. I imagine you get to pick it because it doesn't say random, which is pretty good, but only within a bronze machine deck, which who knows how good that is until you actually play it. I think the strength level could have been pushed a little bit higher up, but otherwise not too big a fan of it. Nilfgaardian Gate. Play a bronze or silver officer from your deck and boost it by 2. Didn't I already review this one as well? I could have sworn this is at the top as well. Anyway, play a bronze or silver officer in your deck. You need to be able to pull a silver officer and then boost it by 2. So you're just tutoring out a specific officer silver card. If you're playing that specific kind of deck, you'd put this in, but otherwise it's weak. Black Blood, neutral, alchemy spell item, silver slot. Choose one. Create a bronze or silver necrophage or vampire, or destroy a bronze or silver necrophage or vampire. So you get to create a silver unit or destroy a silver unit. You're never like I can hardly ever see where you reliably get the second effect off. So you'd always pretty much be creating one. And is creating a silver necrophage or vampire good enough to put in a silver slot? I would say no, unless you're playing very specifically a big vampire necrophage synergy deck, which I think is so far pretty much just like one monster deck and one Northern Realms deck, but we'd have to see. Apply a hazard to an enemy row that deals 3 damage to units on contact. Ah, okay. I like that. That's like Caltrips from Pokemon. When you play a unit in, you get hit, it gets damaged. I like this. I think this is really cool. Unfortunately, it does only apply to one row. Yeah, you would have to, which is a lot more difficult to get off because your opponent can obviously just move their units away from that. But the neat thing is, what you could do is you could play a gold weather deck, and you'd put, and you'd have the three gold weathers, right? And then they clear one or something. But then you put a pit trap down on that, so every time they play a unit on that, it's going to be taking 3 damage. Sure, they're safe from the weather, but they're going to be taking damage from the pit trap. Unfortunately, this is a silver though. Oof, and it only plays to one row. That's rough. I think you could apply this to 2 rows and still not be. Oh, you know what? It says not necessarily on play, but whenever it gets moved to that row. Okay, that's a big difference. If it was on play, I think you could have extended that to 2 rows easily. But if it's since it can be moved to it, like while it's already been on the board, that's a big difference. That means you can constantly keep moving it into it and dealing 3 damage. So this is a really big piece of movement skeletal. Only problem is, just like gold weathers, if you manage to deal with this or pass on it, right, then it's just useless and you just wasted a silver slot. And it has no strength coming with it, so it's a very, very slow play. So maybe it's not fast enough to be in skeletal. Well, but if you're playing a gold weather deck and you force them into a long round 3, I think this can be very powerful, but it's still it's only on 1 row and it's silver. And it doesn't do constant damage a turn. You have to actually maneuver with it. I think it's just a bit too weak, but I like the design. It's cool. Wispis Tribute. Another Crone gold card. Play a bronze or silver organic card from your deck. Not much to say about this. If you're playing silver, bronze, organic cards, you want to pull them with a gold card, then you go for it. But I think this seems a little bit too weak. Just based on like current perspective. Let's see here. Ayurveth meditation. Oh, that's a really good card art there. Force 2 units to duel each other. That's interesting. Duel, of course, is the 2 units will damage each other until one dies. So you could force your opponent's cards to duel each other. That's incredible. I don't know how strong that is, but it's really interesting. I love this I love this card art. I love this design in general. It's really cool. Being able to force your opponents of big units to duel each other seems absolutely mental. Because this could potentially be a very easy 18 strength gold on average. You just get to a 8 strength and a 9 strength unit to duel each other, and then bam, it's 19 strength gold. I think this card can be really, really mental, but I'd see it because the space gold strength is really low. You'd have to be able to play it against your enemy's board that has suitable units for it, which can be difficult, but we'll see. Sahil, neutral, gold. Choose one. Deal 3 damage to all enemies with odd power. What does that mean? Deal 3 damage to all enemies with odd power. Or deal 3 damage to all enemies with even power. Oh, odd power, as in even on. Okay. Or deal 3 damage to all enemies with even power. Or play a random bronze or silver unit from your deck. Playing a random bronze or silver unit from your deck as a gold card is absolutely terrible. You probably never want to do that. And this is just really weird, but dealing 3 damage to all enemies with odd or even power can be really finicky. Maybe you can manage to line them up in such a way with a machine deck, a Northern Realms machine deck, but I think that's really... You would have to hit 5 units for this to be a standard level power card. I think that's way too difficult to get off. Kind of interesting, but also seems really, really weak. Really weak. Granted, it does say all enemies, it doesn't get capped, but that seems really difficult to get off. Not only do your enemy needs to have enough enemies to be hit, they would have to have at least 5 enemies on the field with over 3 health to get hit by for this to even out or to be a standard level power card, but also they need to be odd or even, which can be difficult to manage. Granted, the upper level of this is relatively infinite, right? You hit every single enemy for 3, which could be anywhere from 30 to 50 even power potentially. The swings on this are incredibly huge. I think a little bit too big unless you're very, very this is your core win condition. And as a neutral card, it can apply to any deck, but it seems very difficult to get off, to get that to get going. And our last card, Sheep's Big Adventure. Another great card art and title, special organic neutral gold. If your starting deck has no duplicates, here we go. It's the Reno Jackson. Send Shoop on an adventure. It has to have no duplicates. That means you have to have an entire deck of 1-ofs. That is ridiculous. This has to be an absurd level of power. Because keep in mind, we've already seen Siri, which gets boosted to 25 if you have 2-ofs. So if you have 1-ofs, this has to be crazy. Mage, send Shoop to the Barn Art Academy for boys. I don't think we don't get the extra details here. Sheep Hunter sends Sheep to this forest of Dolbothana. Sheep Knight sends Sheep to the Imperial Court Military Academy. Okay. This seems okay. We don't have this extra information, which is really important to determine the strength of this card. But I'm going to assume this is entirely a meme card. so it's going to be really bad, but it's going to be really fun. Card you kind of play on the casual ladder, never really take into ranked, or at least not into the high ranked, but seems like a very fun card. And then you can debate whether fun cards should exist, especially in a game like Gwent. And I would say absolutely. Keep in mind we're playing a game here, right? This is a video game. This is a card game. We're just here trying to have some fun. And I think Sheep's Big Adventure is a declaration from CD Projekt Red that they're not giving up the fun entertainment aspect of Gwent in favor of a competitiveness, which may seem like it sometimes, but no, they're still here to, this card seems great. Not just in what it is potentially doing, but just in the message that it's sending from the developers of Gwent. That It seems really cool. I really want to see this card in action. If I had to take a guess, all right, so we're taking a guess. We have no duplicates. We send sheep onto an adventure. I'm assuming this doesn't necessarily put this back into your deck to the point where you have to draw it again, because it's not like Hearthstone, right? You don't just draw guaranteed to the end of your deck, assuming you don't die first. So you would have to play this immediately. So you play this, you put it on the board, and you get this unit, and then it has an effect, right? What does the mage effect do? Let's see. He goes to the Bonnard Academy. Let's say Bonnard, right? What does Bonnard do? Because this has to be a crazy good effect, right? If you're running no duplicates. If your starting deck has no duplicates, that doesn't even mean you can potentially thin your deck out over the course of the game and then play this as a last card where your deck has been thinned out. It has to be your starting deck. Oh man, that's tricky, man. That is really tricky. And it's a neutral, so it can go into anything. But these effects have to and you have to draw that. You need to be able to draw Sheep's Big Adventure every single game, or else you're running no duplicates for no reason. Or maybe there's an entire archetype that rises up that plays no duplicates. That would be interesting. But this is the only card so far that we've seen that's done that. And it seems a little bit late in the reveal so far to start adding in a whole bunch of no duplicates. I don't even know what these effects might do. Maybe like the hunter applies the pit trap across all 3 rows, your opponent's field. Maybe Sheep Knight forces your opponents all to duel each other. Maybe Mage, I don't know, buffs your board by a whole bunch. I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what this did. Okay, so that's it. We revealed 20 more. Reviewed 20 more cards. They all seem pretty interesting. There was a lot more kind of like you need to be able to play this card in a very certain deck to get power off. A whole bunch of these are like that. But easily, I think these top 2 cards are probably the best so far. Maybe not necessarily Kid Winning. I think Bridge Troll is the standout card so far in this little grouping. Because I would literally play this card right now in my Frost Eridan deck. I would take out. I currently have 1 Art Griffin in there, because just for whatever reason, just as a filler card almost. And playing Bridge Troll would be perfect. It would be perfect. You can just move your weather around, so you can play your weather out. And you just place on a random row because you don't necessarily have any targets. But then they start playing targets on one row. Boom, you move the hazard. You don't need to move all their units. You just bring the weather to them. So Bridge Troll, absolutely insane card. I think this is going to be a top 5 of the entire set. At the very least, as far as monsters go. There's no way it's not. Like this is a marquee ability. And it's first of too. It's incredible. Okay, so there we go. More card reveals. We've got 31 more to go. Probably split those into 1 long one or 2 short ones. We'll see how the developer stream goes. Whoops. And that will be on the 17th, which is like tomorrow. I'll probably have it over early the next week. Thanks for watching.